Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people, right? You want people to care. You want to strike emotions, and I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese in France, Mickey? What? Boy, ale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice up my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
Cat puns. John. I'm John. How you doing?
I'm JD. I made puns before the show.
What's more fun, cat puns or egg puns?
Egg puns? What's an egg pun?
Like this is an excellent conversation.
Oh my God. No, I got that out of my system with Batman in the 60s.
Oh my God.
You don't remember? They had a villain. What was his name?
Eggman. Egghead.
Egghead.
He was played by Vincent Price.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you brought that up. And I normally go last, but I'll go first. So this weekend I was at my girlfriend's house and we were like just trying to find something to watch, and we were flipping around and I went on to Tubi and they have Batman 66 TV series. So we're like, we'll watch this for a little bit. And like, when was the last time any of you watched that show?
Oh my. Nah. Every once in a while you'll catch the movie.
Yeah.
Like, because they put it all over it. Well, it's probably on HBO Max now. I haven't looked for it lately, but every once in a while on the network shows or one of the upper channels that they'll play it.
We were just watching it like, oh my God, the 60s were such a different time.
Well, yeah.
And it's like, and I mean, for those who know, the show is supposed to be tongue in cheek. It's supposed to be like a level of comedy to it, but it was just like, oh my God, everything is labeled. Like, I was like, you forget about, and like, you start at the beginning. They don't go into Batman's origin. Like, he's just Batman already in the show, right? They don't touch on the origin because, again, it's a 60s show that was geared towards younger viewers. And all he does is, in the first episode, he mentions, he's in like a meeting where they're putting together money for the Wayne Foundation, and he just mentions, well, I'm just hope that this can help stop the criminals like the ones who murdered my parents or something like that. And that's it. And that's all you get of Batman's origin in that show.
I'm amazed he even said that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just so.
All I remember was Batgirl and Catwoman, Julie Newmar.
Dude,
So.
Julie Newmar. Let's talk about a thing. Wow, was she? Wow.
They don't make them like that anymore. They really don't. I mean,
there's times
they can make them, but that's not like,
like there's still times that I'll look at like pictures and stuff. I haven't seen the show since 1992, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
But there's sometimes you'll see pictures or videos from her, and she is stunning, even by 2022 standards. Like Julie Newmar, wow.
Yeah.
Yvonne Craig also quite attractive.
Yes. Well, this was early, and it's funny that what sparked me to do this is I didn't realize, I can't think of the actor's name, Riddler. So he's the
Frank
first
Gorshin.
villain.
Frank Gorshin,
yes, he's the first villain in the first episode. But what I didn't realize is my brother and I got into a conversation about this on Friday. Did you know he was actually replaced in the second season for 2 episodes?
John Astin, right?
Yes, Gomez, the Addams Family. Yeah, and it was just, do you know why?
No.
Because he said he was the most prominent villain on the show. He deserved more money.
Good for him.
And they said they replaced him for 2 episodes, and then I guess they settled and he came back. But yeah, it was so weird.
Because it's weird too, because the John Astin version of the Riddler is quite a departure from the Frank Gorshin version. Did you ever hear the story about how Frank Gorshin and Adam West went to an orgy in mid-60s Hollywood? And they were like, whoa, this is weird.
In mid-60s Hollywood, that was Tuesday. I mean,
that's the thing, though, is like even those 2 guys who were relatively famous got invited to an orgy, and they're like, huh, what do you know? That's where the story ends. I mean, I use your imagination to fill in what happened after that, but
Yeah, but when you read, was it Burt Ward's book said that was basically all the freaking
I
time.
believe it. That's the 60s, man. Like the kids, the hippies were doing the free love thing, but the parents were having like these key parties and stuff like that. So people were humping.
In the very first episode, investigating the Riddler's latest caper, Batman goes to a discotheque.
Do they call it a discotheque?
Yes, they say discotheque.
I'm amazed that word was in the vernacular in 1960.
Yes, so it's fun time.
I don't know what amazed me more, the fact that word is being used in 1966 or the fact that it is still being used in Europe.
True.
They do
Very
still
true.
call it a disco. Go to the disco.
You know, we're normally off track, but not usually 60 years off track.
Or 60 seconds. We got off track fast in this episode.
Yeah.
It's usually not Dave either. Dave's trying to steer us in, and he's talking about the Batman show from 1966.
Well, number one, hey, come on, that's related to comic books and what we normally talk about.
Agreed. No argument.
And I was just curious. I'm like, I like, we watched about 4 episodes, and we were cracking up by the end, and it was just like, yeah, let's just go to bed. This is ridiculous. So, what's new with you guys, John? What is new in your world?
Nothing.
Okay, then.
I'm trying to teach my nephew how to write a mod for Minecraft, and I'm realizing that it is way more intricate and involved than I thought it would be. So I'm going through the tutorials now, and maybe in a couple of months you'll see a mod by my nephew come out for Minecraft.
Cool.
So, but otherwise, nothing really doing. I'm boring. I live alone with 2 cats. What am I gonna say? I went out and did some gardening today. Woohoo! Good times.
Well, I mean, there you go. Plan anything good?
Yeah. June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I've got off from work because this is how we're old. Anybody who's listening, it's like, normally it's like, oh, I'm getting a new car, I'm getting this. Like me, it's like, I'm getting a new driveway. Oh, I cannot wait.
Yes.
I get it. That's exciting.
Oh, and it costs, oh my God.
Yes, it does. They're not cheap, man. A driveway.
Well, me, because of the water problems in my house, I have to get a commercial drain grate across my, and then have the pipe go all the way underneath my front yard to this creek at the side. I'm looking at 17 grand. It's like, but still
that.
I know, but still, I'm like, I cannot, because when you're pushing like the snowblower, it's like with my current driver, it's like, it's like it'd be nice just to push the snowblower and just have it go, smooth instead of having to destroy the bottom. It's just little things like that. I don't know.
Okay, hold on. I just noticed you sent the link to the little cat house. No one's gonna know what we're talking about. But I have to know.
That's how we got into Batman.
I have to know, heated or unheated?
Heated.
Oh, of course.
What are you, a barbarian? How do you unheat the cat house?
When we say cat house, we mean a little house for kittens.
Sure, John.
You put it outside your house, and when something attacks them or it gets cold, they can run into there.
Remember, this tied into Batman 66 orgies, so I don't know.
Hey, I'm not the one that paved that road, man.
Definitely not for 17 grand.
Yeah.
How about you, JD? What is new in your world?
I'm alone for the week. We had the little guy had his last day of kindergarten on Friday. So I officially have an incoming first grader, which is crazy to think about. So my wife took him and the dog, and they went to stay on her dad's farm for a week. So I have one more week because I teach in I don't really teach. I work in a different school district than I live in. We have another week of school. It's finals week. So I'm alone for the whole week, and I'm going to get a lot of work done. So yesterday we had Andy Daddy Day, where we just kind of hung out while my wife kind of just got ready to pack. And, I got my last day with him, and we went and saw The Bad Guys at the movie theater. He had this epiphany about 3/4 where he goes, Dad, they're not actually the bad guys. They're the good guys. It's awesome to have a 6-year-old realize that. And then we went to the mall and hung out. And then I came home and I showed him the Monster Squad.
Oh,
because we have every weekend, Friday and Saturday nights is movie night. So I pick something, or we'll work on together. We'll pick something to watch as a family, or something like, usually it's stuff from the 80s and 90s, and I'm like showing my kid, and usually he enjoys it. So that's my weekend. And today I just spent time. I shot a graduation this morning, and then afterwards I was working on.
Be careful.
I videotaped a graduation.
Okay.
Sorry, the vernacular of the business. I videotaped a graduation. I live streamed actually a graduation this morning, and afterwards I worked on updating all my books because the Kickstarter money should hit my account on Monday. It takes about 3 weeks, and so the rewards start going out, and I was tweaking stuff. And John, this is the best death I've ever given you, and it's like it's awesome. It's not just something that happens within the course of the story. It's a major plot point.
Wow.
I'm very excited.
And you fit it in with, because this is set in the past.
Yeah,
right?
I just changed it. Well, this isn't the vampire one. This is the Wolfstone story.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm really proud of this one. I'm very excited for you to read Golem, the second book of the series, When You Die.
Excellent. I cannot wait.
It's a good one. It's a real good one. We know how you are, Dave, so let's just move on.
Yes, let's move on to.
By the way, 5 years ago this week, I was a guest on the show. Thanks to Facebook for telling me that.
Yes, yeah, I saw you shared that, and
Life's been off the rails ever since.
Yes,
pretty much.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I forgive you, I suppose.
Let's get into a little social media madness.
Do we have to?
Yes, because let's we've got. Oh, hold on. We got a couple good ones. We're going to share.
Describe good.
Do we really?
I think so. Well, first off, let's start with, we had talked about basically everything in the Arrowverse is canceled.
That merger's really killing everything.
Arrowverse is dead.
It really is.
To which Silverhawk replied,
Silverhawk. Sorry.
Arrowverse started really good, but every season to season they dropped down. Less action to much whiny shit. Every episode full of couples therapy, characters getting the same life lessons over and over again. The CW Legends felt like a Reality Plus and the Flash Housewives show.
Wow.
It was funny though, because he's right. It was, the storyline stopped progressing. They would have the same issue. The same characters would have the same issues over and over again. They would never seem to learn. While on the other hand, the Legends of Tomorrow actually did that. The characters were always growing and changing.
So let's talk about this from a narrative perspective. Dan Slott actually just put up this very interesting series of tweets that connected a little bit to what you're saying. When you're doing these long, expansive stories, like I'm a McKee guy, right? So I come from the school of Robert McKee. Like a story is, the definition of a story is you have a character, he has a goal, something is standing in the way of him achieving his goal. When he gets to his goal, or when he fails at his goal, when your story ends, he is changed, right? That is, now, when you're writing serialized fiction, it's very difficult to do that. When you're writing fictional characters that essentially have to stay the same, it's nearly impossible to do that, which is why you get formulaic storytelling in comic books, which is why Peter Parker feels like he's been stuck since 1977, like where we can change certain things but not other things, and everything seems to kind of go back to normal. Now, when let's take X-Men for example. When you're working with an ensemble cast, you have more options because characters can come and go, and the show really can stay the same, which is what Legends really was. Legends was an ensemble, and the show did change. It brought in new characters, so it had that flexibility that something like The Flash doesn't really have. And even in television, it's not as bad as in comics, because television, if you get four seasons, you're golden. Flash is crazy. When you're talking about a comic book character that's existed for 50 years, it becomes very difficult. And then changes become very superficial, as we'll talk about later.
Right. But so on Legends of Tomorrow, going to what you said, right? So Katie Lotz is the only one original cast member left.
Yeah.
Everybody else was gone.
She's also very pretty. Yes, continue.
Yeah. But the thing is that actually the only other one that the only other cast member, but only in voice, that has stayed was Amy Louise Pemberton as Gideon, the voice of the ship. But everybody else had been. But the thing is, like Katie Lotz, by the end, all the characters grew up. I mean, the reason why they were leaving is because they were growing up and going their separate ways. But Katie Lotz, she had this huge storyline
for sure
over 8 years, and she's been there since the beginning. she's been there since Arrow, like since the beginning of Arrow. So
it's not her, but the character is literally part of the foundation.
Yeah, when she started doing
universe.
White Canary or
even before that. Before that, remember she's dead, I think, right?
Yeah.
When Arrow first starts.
Right.
So her death is kind of what spurs on everything. It's pretty much the linchpin of this entire universe. It's again, she doesn't play her till I think season 3 of Arrow. I want to say I could be wrong about that, but
since 2016, so
it's later actually. It's like season 4, maybe not, maybe whatever. But she's a foundational. She could be argued as the foundational player of the Arrowverse.
But she is.
But I mean, like, just the character that she plays, right? Her version of Black Canary, which I forget, Sarah. She's Sarah Lance.
Sarah
right?
Lance. Yeah. Well, once Oliver left, she was it.
But I mean, even before that, like, her, because she's dead, right? When Arrow starts, they think Ollie thinks he's
assumed
responsible,
dead, yes.
assumed dead. Like, for all intents and purposes, she's dead. Her death is one of the things that kind of not inspires, but like sparks the creation of Ollie becoming Green Arrow. So I mean, like, she is a foundational character in that series.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. Though, of course, Drew Williams, who's at ASW Comics, said, I watched first 2 seasons of Arrow, and that was the end of Arrowverse for me.
Me too. In all honesty, me too.
Arrow was good though back then. I mean, they took a while to let him grow into his real DC persona, but like I didn't think it was that bad. It was Supergirl that started to kill it for me when we were joking about them, that and the later versions of Flash where they started like, I froze the lasers or she breaks like we said before, breaks the neck of the power line. Like it just, but they're canceling Riverdale is still on.
For another season. I think this is the wrap up Riverdale
but
season.
It's got much lower ratings than everything else from what I heard.
Yeah, but it's also cheaper.
Yeah.
True.
That's the key. There's not many special effects with Arrow or with Riverdale as there are to everything else. And they're going to have Flash have a wrap up season. And realistically, this thing has gone on for a long time, like way longer than I think anybody ever really expected. So
true.
Well, it was time for Flash because they've had a rough couple of last 2-3 years. For sure. But I mean, it's really time for all of it. Like, it's time, like this is the difference between like comics and like the interpretations is when it ends, we can do something else. Remember, Arrow starts a year after Smallville ends. Like Smallville ended, then we had a year, and then Arrow came the next year, right? When we had we had a different Green Arrow for the last like 5 or 6 years of Smallville. Yeah.
Right.
So this gives it an opportunity to do something new.
But this was dark and gritty Arrow.
Was it? They sold that on it, but was it really?
Well, the first episode was. After that, it turned into a CW show.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yes, that was the whole point. It was supposed to be dark and gritty, but they couldn't do Batman, so they gave us.
That's what they do. And again, it was as dark and gritty as a CW show can be. And like, let's be honest, when they have the chance to go dark and gritty, sometimes they go too far. Look at Titans.
Oh. I'm sorry. Like people have told me you should. Why aren't you watching? It's like. I don't care. There's too many, like they're not. Those aren't heroes. Those are they were trying to go the route of the boys almost. Like these, they just none of them were stable enough. They were going to get themselves killed. Yeah, or they should have.
Scott likes that show. I mean, like it's so weird because like I like Teen Titans Go for what it is. It makes me laugh and entertains my 6-year-old. And The Night Begins to Shine is a jam. But like it's an awesome song. And then there's this show. It's like nothing really quite captures like the Wolfman Perez Teen Titans like we talked about last week. Like it's a shame that I don't think we've ever quite hit it. Like the original Teen Titans show is close, but still not quite.
I think DC's problem is like they do stuff like Teen Titans Go, which is highly entertaining to young viewers. And I get why it exists, and parents. And then the other end of the spectrum, they try to get dark and gritty with everything. And it's just like, there's got to be a happy medium.
Teen Titans Go, they hand it off to the animation side and they're like, go do it. That's true. Got a couple rules. That's it. But when they do the live action shows, there is so much interference. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the CW stuff is their idea of being in the middle, which is just very soapy, which still doesn't quite, it doesn't quite hit. Like it's my barometer for this stuff has changed because of, quite frankly, what Marvel can,
Yeah, the CW show is one step away from the, like when they replaced his wife for like almost a whole season, and you're like, he doesn't notice anything. Come the fuck on.
His wife got replaced.
And she all but would turn to the camera and cackle with glee.
Who are we talking about? Who did that happen to?
Iris,
yeah.
Really? Flash.
Iris
Mirror Master. The second Mirror Master captures her and puts her in like a mirror dimension, and then takes her over her body, basically. And
so Mirror Master fucks Barry Allen?
Basically.
Whoa, that's hardcore.
Well, the other thing is like, I mean,
it's the second Mirror Master who's a woman in the comics.
Oh, okay. I think it's Evan. Do you say the second Mirror Master? I'm thinking Evan McCullough because I'm a comics guy, not a television.
In the television, it's the second Mirror Master who's
so that's not still hardcore because that's still quite the thing to do to your enemy, but not quite the level that I was thinking.
First episode after she's been switched, her personality almost completely changes.
Right.
And he's constantly like, you're doing this, this is weird. It's like, dude.
Barry's dumb. Isn't that the whole point of the show?
But that's the whole thing. He deals with this stuff all the time, and he didn't pick up on that right away.
Because he's dumb. Barry's dumb. Like, again, this is not but that's what is it? That's soapy. That's like when my mom used to watch when Marlena got possessed by the devil on Days of Our Lives. Like,
oh man.
Like that's just the thing. Like it's not, and it's some of the worst. It's so crazy how they embrace the worst aspects of like serialized superhero comics.
Speaking of the worst things, so remember we had talked about David S. Goyer all of a sudden is relevant again.
We have a bit.
And created a podcast and ended up being the biggest podcast on the internet, to which Ray from the Girl Brain podcast retweeted our tweet and said, "It's all my fault. I blame no one but myself."
No, it's totally true, Ray. It's all on him. He breathed it into existence and breathed it back into relevance. This is the problem with humor.
Yes, unfortunately. Knowing what's real and what's sarcasm. All right. So John, here is the good stuff. All right. So Kassan Warid, it's at author COH on Twitter, tweeted at us, "Just got into your podcast. Entertaining in the way old friends gathered in front of a fireplace chatting about their passions, showcase an underlying story. The level of thought your panel gives to the genre is welcoming. I love the attention to the story aspect."
We know who does that.
So I did reply and I said, "Thank you very much. Truly appreciate it. JD is the very talented writer that definitely elevates the conversation on story and detail." So
yes, give me all the praise. Bring it.
But again, we're also appreciative of people that actually listen to the show.
Yeah, thanks. We have way too many people who respond to these things who don't listen to our shows. So it's nice to have some of them. Hey, I'm listening. I enjoy what you guys are doing. And to you, sir, I say ma'am. I don't know who you are. Thank you.
We do appreciate it.
We do appreciate it.
They also followed up. This was right before we recorded. Different topic, and well, not different, but a specific topic now. "I'm listening to episode 457 when you rightfully criticize the newer Star Trek IPs. Don't let that dissuade you from Strange New Worlds. This series captures true Trek."
I saw the trailers for it.
Who is that? Who's the actor? I can't. It's the Twitter handle.
This dude who's playing Christopher Pike.
Oh, Anson Mount. Oh, speaking of Anson Mount, I guess that's like makes an awesome Pike. All right.
Yeah, I watched the trailers for it. It does feel very much like Gene Roddenberry's vision of it.
Yes.
So I'm hoping I might give it a try. It just, I'm still shell shocked from all the crap that they've thrown at us. But
speaking of Anson Mount, I did not realize this. I was so blown away by Patrick Stewart reprising Professor X and Krasinski coming in as Reed Richards that he reprised his role as Black Bolt from the Inhumans TV show.
Yes.
He had a mask on. I didn't realize it was the same dude.
I didn't realize it was him either.
We were talking about so much. I just completely forgot to bring it up, but I knew that. Yeah, it was the same guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
it's a very forgettable show, quite frankly. So.
yes, but we apologize for not mentioning that in our review.
It almost wasn't worth bringing up. I mean,
I agree.
And he does die first of the Illuminati.
His brain explodes in his head
because that's what Black Bolt does. He fumbles the ball every single time.
Yeah, why did Black Bolt scream? I like the they should call that the arrogant universe. I was trying to think of an arrogant number and I couldn't come up with one.
No, arrogance. Yeah, arrogant is perfect.
It's the arrogant. Yeah, but I wanted a number correlation, right? Like I couldn't say the 69 universe. I mean, that wouldn't have been as funny. I couldn't think of it. So
anyway, what's hex for duh?
I don't even know what that means.
We'll give it the hexadecimal number for duh.
But it's the arrogant universe, the snobverse, if you will, and their arrogance is their undoing.
Yes,
I can't argue with that.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean,
I'm Reed Richards. I'm going to explain to this witch that we totally could take exactly how my friend here could take her. And oh, don't worry, she's a reality warper, but we could still take her, even though I should know what reality warping is because my son is one.
Okay, is it though? I mean, like, there's no guarantee that they said they have kids, but maybe not a Franklin Richards style. Maybe not in that universe, perhaps.
But he's still Reed Richards. He should have known reality warp.
Also, maybe he was just born and he didn't show his powers yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Reed's a goon. Reed messes up all the time. That's Reed.
Yes. So,
dork.
On that note, boys and girls, if you want to know how you can follow along on social media and be part of social media madness, here's our good friend D Square to tell you more.
I know that guy.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of social media madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
All right, thanks for that, Don. And don't forget to check out the Omega Level Nerds podcast, available on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. And we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, we're back. We got a little bit of news to talk about this week. Of course, I think the big thing that everyone's talking about right now is they released the first look at She-Hulk. We got our first trailer for the upcoming show. I guess I have to ask, did you guys get a chance to watch it? And what did you think?
John, go ahead.
I'm hoping that the months between now and when they release it, they fix the CGI.
Looks terrible.
It does. It does. The character of her seems about what I think it would be in the comics, minus we didn't see any real fourth wall break or the kind of fourth wall breaking that she does, because that's different from the Deadpool. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. Like, you know, this isn't a superhero. This isn't going to be a superhero series. It's basically going to be a series about a woman who just happens to be She-Hulk going through life, you know?
I think they're embracing the later She-Hulk comics where it was more comedy based than it was, you know, I mean, it was always tongue in cheek, I think, you know.
I know.
But
I'll just say this, and I'm going to paint myself as a prude here. I am really, really tired of the superhero trope of, and then they went to bed. It's like, you know, Green Lantern movie wakes up in bed with a weird woman. It's like, it's just, you know, all these heroes that they paint is just super, I don't know, you know, just
I feel like they're trying to do a rom-com feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's kind of always been like the the She-Hulk kind of thing is that Ally McBeal superhero-y kind of thing, right? And to be fair, Green Lantern lays the pipe. It's in character. That is what Hal Jordan does. So Tony Stark.
I didn't say it wasn't accurate. I just said that I'm tired of it.
You know, I can't argue with you on it. I didn't notice it as much. I honestly, the CGI was so distracting. And I'm not this guy normally.
Yeah.
But I found the CGI so distracting, I couldn't get over it and really tell you what's going on in the show. I just kept going, how does she look so bad?
I'm confused by the people like saying it didn't look that bad. It's
it did. It really did.
Especially in a world where we have the Hulk in multiple movies and he looks really good. Like, why it feels like this is unfinished is beyond me, and people are like, no, it's okay.
Well, I mean, they've got another couple of months. Let the computers run, a couple of more teraflops on each scene, and maybe they can, pull it out. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen trailers put out where the CGI was not ready yet.
Have you seen the Chip and Dale movie yet?
No.
Oh, no.
More on that later, because that's a plot point, actually. Why does Disney do this when they know better? They know better. There's no way a bunch of executives looked at that and said, yeah, that's what to go with. Right? Like, this is they're held to a different standard because they're Disney and because we have had very good special effects on these shows.
And we know they've got the algorithms for it. I mean, they've got the setup for it. Look at Hulk.
Yeah, the Hulk, her cousin, who in fact looks better in the trailer than She-Hulk does.
Yes.
Yeah, so they haven't finished yet.
And that was one of the things.
Why put it out? Why do this?
One of the things I saw on social media was them saying, "Oh, well, they've had that model for a while, so they can easily just plug it in." And it's like, okay, but that's still not an excuse. Like, I don't know.
Again, they have a few more months. They got plenty of time to adjust. But I mean, look what they did with Sonic. So,
well, that's not Disney. But
I know, but
more on that later. But why do that? Why make this the topic of conversation? Why let that dominate the discourse?
That's right. Exactly.
That's what I can't figure out is why did they let this happen? Yes. Could they correct it? Yes. Should they correct it? Of course. But why put yourself into this situation when you can easily just hang on to it?
Yeah, exactly. Right? You're making an excellent point. Like, that's
what I can't understand is why did they let it be this bad?
The shot where it's the back of her and she lands, like, that looks really good, but I don't think that's CGI. I think that's someone.
I don't know, which is what I want to say. The shot where she's picking up the dude totally looks fake.
Yeah.
A lot of those shots of her look absolutely fake. I mean, like, it's stuff from it's like early 2000s level CGI.
Yeah.
Like, it's super.
That's exactly what I said on a post.
I'm not this guy, but I mean, when I'm noticing it and I'm being super critical of it, there's no way like dickhead fanboys are not going to say something about it. Right. I mean, and I want them to succeed. And I just can't understand who let this through and didn't say anything about it. Why not? If it's not done, why not? Like, look at the Kenobi trailer. That looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Why?
Or even like Moon Knight. They didn't release anything until it looked good.
Right. Why do this? That's what I can't wrap my head around is why make that choice?
Maybe it's just, right now you got to think they're stretched thin, right? They have so many huge projects going on all over the place. Maybe it was just some producer that's added to this that decided, let's put it out, and they're going to make a misstep. I don't know.
Disney doesn't work like that, man. You got to go through so many levels of approval to get stuff out there. Like, and again, there's somewhere in the middle. I just can't figure out how someone in charge went, go with that. Because a lot of people looked at that before it went out.
I have to totally agree with you because I've told the story before, but like a friend of mine, Greg Horn, did a cover for Marvel. It was Stanley and Deadpool. And like, long story short, he had to get it. He had to change it 3 times before they would. And it was Disney kept shooting it down until they approved it to put it out. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, they approve everything. Like, there's so many levels of stuff that is to go to, and they have such a high standard. Like, it boggles my mind that this slipped through the cracks. Because again, now that's the story. Now that's the story.
Well,
and
again, it is now because we spent all this time just talking about that.
But we're not alone.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to do that. And it's like,
So-
it's a female-led show. And now that's going to be the discourse, which is like, that's again, setting up for failure. Because now people go, Psh, it's going to suck. It's going to suck.
Something else, like, and it's such a stupid little detail, but Karen, who's not really as into this stuff as I am, is like, why does her hair grow? Tatiana, how do you say her last name? Maslany doesn't have really long hair in the trailer. But when she becomes She-Hulk, she's got really long hair.
Yeah, I mean, that can be described in the thing. I mean, like, quite frankly,
But she's like, the Hulk's
Red
hair
Hulk's
doesn't
Red Hulk's mustache. What happens to Thunderbolt Ross's mustache? I mean, it's comics logic stuff. That can be explained within the context of the show.
Okay.
It's gonna be stupid, but it'll be within the context of the show. It's comics. I just can't get over how poorly it's been marketed. And I'm gonna say it right now, poor market.
Yeah. I mean, we're still gonna watch it, but
yeah, that's our job. I don't know. I haven't watched Moon Knight yet, so maybe not.
Oh my God.
I got time this week.
But you're more familiar with the character than you were with Moon Knight.
No, I know Moon Knight. I know about as much about She-Hulk as I do about Moon Knight.
Huh. Well, and here's like, this is a good example. Our good friend Random Randy Savage, I tweeted out the trailer when it dropped, and he quote tweeted us saying, "Coming soon to my complaints on YouTube."
Oh, no. Nice.
This is what I'm saying. Like this, I'm not alone in this. Like, and I'm gonna be more kind than other people, right? I mean, like we're a pro MCU podcast. Like, we love this stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of the MCU and things that we like, I'm not so sure about this move. So apparently they have signed a deal. Marvel/Disney has signed a deal with, I think it's PAL Entertainment, who owns the likeness to Stan Lee. They have licensed his likeness to use in future projects going forward.
Here we go. Here we go. We're getting to that point where you're going to be, because of CGI, you're going to start being able to.
But that's my thing. Do we really want CGI Stan Lee cameos in these movies, or does that cheapen his memory?
I don't think that's what they're going to do.
No,
I hope.
I think what this is going to do is it's going to keep other people from licensing him and doing that and putting him in other projects. Sometimes I think you write a check to protect yourself rather than to just be exploitative. I think that I could be wrong. If he shows up in the next Fantastic Four movie as a CGI mailman, then all bets are off. But I truly believe this is Marvel trying to control the image of their founding father.
Right. And I don't
so it's not like, so he doesn't show up in like porn or something like that.
I wouldn't have an issue if they took and they had a photo of him in a scene.
That's possible. I mean, that's my
to pay tribute to him, and they would have to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I don't know, like, because you watch not Mandalorian, the Boba Fett show, and you get CGI Luke walking around. It's like, I don't know.
But we've known that this has been coming for a while, right? See, as CGI gets better and better, as computers get more and more powerful, it's going to get to the point where you may not be able to tell what's a CGI character and what isn't.
I'm gonna throw this out there.
It's going to get there.
I don't know how this would work at all in the real world, but I would imagine that licensing someone's image is cheaper than hiring the actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if they wanted a quick,
depends on who the image is.
I was about to say, if they wanted a quick Iron Man cameo in something where he doesn't talk, he flies in, takes his mask off for a second, and flies out, and it's a CGI Robert Downey Jr. Like, could they get away with that?
Could they? Yes. Does Robert Downey want them to? That's the question. Because like you still own your likeness, right? And when he dies, his estate will own the likeness. So it will depend on that. I mean, believe me, if they could do that right now, they would. How
much do you think they paid for Stan Lee's likeness?
I don't know. I imagine a pretty penny, because I know the people running those things aren't the.
Especially now that he's gone, they're trying to get every penny they can.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I truly believe this is more a preventative thing. Disney going, let's just make sure he doesn't show up somewhere. That Stan Lee's likeness isn't used to like sell toilet cleaners or something like that. Hey, true believers, I don't even get it.
Come down to the lot. We have this cheap Chevy Excelsior.
Right. Exactly. It would make Marvel look bad. So I truly believe that this is one of those, better on the inside than on the outside. And now you've licensed it from the insane people that run POW, let's be honest, and it's over.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, we'll see. I'm kind of curious. I am curious.
Me too.
I asked this to the fans. Like, would you want a CGI cameo from Stan Lee? I would think not, but I'm kind of curious. So
I don't, but I'm not. I'm not a billion-dollar corporation. Clearly,
no. If you were, you wouldn't be here.
no.
Well,
I
you have a
don't.
working brain, so
I would also don't have that much money.
and morals. Yeah,
Morals.
that kind of
My wife would debate that with you, but
okay, more than a corporation.
well, fair, not evil.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. All right. I had to include this because there was some kerfuffle a couple weeks ago when we talked about the casting for the Warner Brothers Wonder Twins movie that was going to be on HBO Max. And as of May 18th, so what was that, Wednesday last week? It was officially canceled. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter. So this is the first official news on it.
So this is a case of our new Warner Brothers Discovery CEO saying, why are we spending, and this was, again, I got inside knowledge on this one from some of my wrestling source friends. The argument was, why are we spending this much money on something that's going to go to a streaming site?
Yeah.
That nobody wants.
Exactly. No, and that's a good point. Like, that's not something that's going to draw people to HBO Max. No.
Not the Wonder Twins, anyway.
No, definitely not the Wonder Twins.
I could see them spending a lot on something else.
On Batman. Well, again, this guy's thing is like, I'm going to cut $3 billion from the budget.
Right.
Because they've been spending money frivolously for generations. But I mean, this guy's trying to pull back. And again, the easiest question is, why are we making a Wonder Twins movie to begin with?
Right. I think they would, not that I'm saying they should do this. I think if they took that Superman and Lois TV show and they put that on HBO Max, that would probably draw more subscribers than a Wonder Twins movie.
Yes.
They may wind up doing that.
They may wind up doing that. We're in a problem right now with the streaming services is that people are coming to check things out and leaving, which is not how a subscription service is supposed to work. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this. We wondered when these services would reach peak maturation. I think we're there, and I think we're past it. Right. I think people have decided what they're going to have and what they're not going to have. And it's, I don't know how much more these things can grow. I really don't, to be honest with you. I think they're more likely to contract at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree, because what can these streaming services offer that are really going to draw people in, and
a
people
lower
don't
price?
What?
A lower price. One of the reasons why people will buy it for a month and then cancel is because the price is too high per month.
I agree with you.
Well, exactly. And then people don't want to pay that for 4, 5, 6 C services. Like,
yeah, if they look at their monthly bills and they see $4.99 on there, they're like, I can cancel it next month. But if they see $14.99 on there, it's like, no.
No, especially when you're like, oh wait, I haven't watched anything on this service in 6 months.
Yeah.
I picked up Peacock again for the Firestarter movie, and
what a mistake that was.
Well, not really, because it was cheaper than going to the movie theater.
Yeah,
right.
True.
So they got me for the equivalent of a ticket. But does that help them? Does me being able to be a little cheap and save money on going to the movies and getting that service for a month and getting rid of it after a month, does that help their bottom line? And I think that's the problem, is that like in the pandemic, they need to do anything they can to get people in. Right now, the pandemic is wink, wink over. Yeah, exactly.
As the numbers go back up.
Yeah, Here we go again. I think that has a lot to do with the cold. We had a cold spring, so people weren't indoors more in the spring than they normally would be. But that's not this
also,
show.
COVID does better in the humidity because the cold actually shrinks the connectors.
But I mean, the numbers always tend to go. If you look at the last couple of years, they trend down during the wrong show. Sorry. I now that we are in this spot where people are going to movies again, how do we grow these services and at the same time not shoot ourselves in the foot? Because that's been the argument that we had last year.
Exactly.
All these filmmakers are like, you're killing us by killing our box office. Because that $10 I gave to Peacock isn't I gave it specifically for Firestarter, but that $10 doesn't just go to Firestarter. It goes to Peacock. So I mean, like, what did that would have got like a fraction of a penny compared to what everything else is in there? Like, how did these things make money?
Exactly, because I've had this argument with people too, where they're like, "Oh yeah, they'll just put on streaming service," and it's like, yeah, but they're not making money that way because, like, let's say in my household, or someone else's household, where there's 4 or 5 people in the household, they pay $10 to watch that movie just to get out of going to the theater. They've just lost how much? $50, and then they cancel them at the end of the month because they only wanted to see that one movie. It doesn't help them at all.
Their biggest problem here right now is the price, because the only way a streaming service is going to win is on economies of scale. They need to get a large enough subscriber base that I think they can still pay $1 billion to their freaking CEOs, which that's another problem with some of these streaming services.
Oh, yeah.
And then also have enough money to continue to make content. And there are enough people in the world that like US has 330 million people living in it. If they got half of those people paying into one of these streaming services, they'd have more than enough.
But that's not realistic.
I know. Well, it's true, but the thing is, like, it's not realistic based on the price, because more than half the population can't afford $14 a month.
You're right about that, but at the same time, you'll never get half the population to do anything. Half the population doesn't drink water. Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't work like that, because again, you have all these people, but you have households, right? Household has an average of 4.5 people, right, upon average. So then now you're based on that right away. You're a fifth. Right. And then of that fifth, you might get half. So I'm saying, like, the numbers it
depends on the amount of content. And that's where the streaming surface is starting to converge.
Well, I think a big part of the issue was the pandemic hit, and all these companies thought, oh, now we're going to make out big because people can't go out and they're stuck watching our streaming services.
But now they're reaping the benefits because of, as JD said, it's over.
But I think it's like it caused problems that they didn't think about, in the fact, like, and a great example of this is Netflix, right? Like, all these companies were like, oh, we're going to have our own service now. We're going to pull stuff off of Netflix for our own service, and people are starting to jump off of Netflix now. So I think it's like, it's not sustainable.
It's not only that, because all these companies too none of these companies are making money off their streaming devices, right? Everyone is in a process of spend. You're spending billions of dollars to create these services in hopes that it makes money. Peacock, like, I know a guy who works for Comcast. Like, I do actually. They're in this Comcast specifically. If you have Comcast cable, you have Peacock. What are you paying for? Nothing. Yeah. You're paying so you can tell your shareholders we have X number of people on Peacock, because that's where the real money comes from.
That's known as the Microsoft Internet Explorer edition.
That's the thing, though. It's like that's where the money is coming. It's not coming from the consumers. It's coming from telling it's painting a rosy picture for your shareholders. Yeah. That's the money. And again, and eventually the shareholders are like, what is going on here?
Well, they're in the internet startup mode, right?
They are. That's exactly spend.
Bleed money. God. It's okay if we lose $1 billion this quarter, because we'll make it up next year.
We just talked about how we watched characters on the CW not learn from week to week and not grow. Why are these companies not looking at what happened in the early 2000s with the internet boom and going, oh, wait, that didn't work then?
This is the assumption. This is what I always talk about with fiction. People are like, why would this person do that? Why wouldn't they learn? It's like, well, do you watch real people? Yeah. real people learn nothing ever.
No, we don't.
Ever. Like, the history of humanity is making the same mistakes constantly.
Oh, yeah.
Well, is it smallpox and polio and blah, blah, blah. And, COVID? Now, a quarter of the population still isn't vaccinated. Yeah, we don't learn shit.
We have monkeypox now in the U.S.
I know, right?
That's a thing. Like, which is what we are. We're dumb. And again, these shareholders, that's what it's about. How can we make our shareholders happy? I think the only people that are making this work right now is Disney.
Right. But that's because they have all this original content that you can only get on Disney Plus.
Right.
Plus, they've got movies going out in the theater.
And if they merged with one other of the top, say, 7 or 8 streaming services, they would have enough content that you could get half the population, as long as the price was low enough you could get half the population to do it.
Here's the thing about Disney is they do have 3 streaming services. So they are like between Disney, Hulu, and ESPN.
Right.
That is also Disney. So they're the ones that are succeeding. Everyone else is playing catch. And again, Netflix had a head start and they're starting to see contraction, right? So it's going to be Netflix is going to have to change in order to stay competitive, right? Netflix is going to have to change the game in some way, shape, or form. They're like I said on the show before, they're probably going to have to get into live sports at some point.
Well, Netflix is also at a disadvantage because initially they didn't own any of the content. Technically, they were the way for creators to send the content to people. Now everybody's creating their own streaming service, and that's affecting Netflix,
which we've talked about for years too. But again, they're the best example of spend money to create content, right?
Yeah.
And then people, by and large, were saying, but again, expensive. I think they're 15, right?
I think so. They're currently 15.
Yeah. So they're the most expensive content platform. And it's like, what's on here now? Like, you ever look at stuff on Netflix? It's like it's not great.
I don't know. Some of their animated content and their
for now.
True. I mean, but I honestly, one of the anime shows I'm watching right now, Komi Can't Communicate. It is literally one of the best animated shows anywhere right now. So they do have winners on there. It's just maybe not our cup of tea, but they do have some good stuff there.
Quality doesn't equal quantity. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They don't care about there needs to be that fine balance when you're doing this stuff. Is what can I create that can also make me money? Right. And they haven't done enough stuff to generate subscribers. Because again, we're back to cable almost. If you have everything, you're back to what you're paying for cable. And the cable companies bled everyone dry until people started cutting the cord. Like, just look at the rate of TV. Look at people like, oh man, nothing draws ratings like it did in the 90s. Yeah. Like the rate of cable television is falling. I think it's 10% a year, something like that.
That's because TV used to be free. Yeah. So for those of you that are like really young, we used to have these things on the houses called antennas, and you pointed it in the right direction, and you got like 3 or 4 channels, and you could watch anytime you wanted. Now, you could record them until VCRs came out, but it was all free. You know, you had commercials, you'd have to sit through them. That's when you went up and got popcorn, but otherwise,
John, I'm 40 years old and I never lived in that world. Right? We had cable my whole life, or at least the life I can remember.
God, I remember having to help my father go up onto the house to fix the antenna.
Like,
oh my God.
The world, we've almost spent as much, I think it might be more. We've spent as a community, as a society, we have spent a longer time in a pay television world than we did in a free television world.
Yeah.
Right, because TV caught on in the 50s, and by the late 70s, cable starting to proliferate. By the 80s is really when cable takes hold.
Yep.
Right, so that's maybe 30 years, and we're more than 30 years into a post-cable. Right, like this is just kind of nobody's ever had free television.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The entertainment story of the year is still what happens to these streaming platforms.
I don't know. That's a good question. Like, are we going to see mergers? I think you have to.
I think you have to at some point.
Well, again, like they got 2 problems. The price and the amount of content. So if they merge, if 2 big ones merge, there's probably going to be enough content. And then it's just a matter of, if you put the price up, you're going to lose subscribers. Nobody's going to pay $22-$25 just because you have a lot of content,
No, and I think they see that now, but they have to figure out a way to make it work for everybody. I truly believe we're gonna have 3 providers. We're gonna have 3 providers, and you'll have a few boutiques, right? That'll exist.
Like Crunchyroll
or for me, New Japan World, like those kind of things that like small, but they can opt. I don't mind paying $10 a month for something that I watch,
right?
But I mean, like if it's like niche, like super niche, that's fine. Like that's almost better. But if it's like everything under the sun, it's like $5, right? It's almost like the more specialized the content, the more value it has. Where the more expansive the content, I feel like there's less value. Because I'll pay $10 a month for New Japan Pro Wrestling, but you asked me to pay $10 a month for Peacock without ads. I'm like, are you out of your mind? $5 for ads.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Hulu. You know, I have
Mhm.
Hulu, but I've got it with ads. I barely
it with
ever
ads
go on
too.
there because if I can find whatever's on there somewhere else, even if it's pirated, it depends on the system too. Like Hulu's code for serving ads sucks because you could pause it. You could like watch an ad, pause it, go get something, come back. It's on a timer. It's not, they don't insert the ads in certain places. So you could turn it back on and go right back into 3 more minutes of ads. It's ridiculous. So yeah,
Well, that's another thing too, since we're on this topic. I think part of the issue too is, and look, I know it doesn't have all the newest and greatest content on it, but things like Tubi exist, where it's completely free. And there's tons of movies and shows on there that you can watch for free. Yeah, they inject ads into it, but like, you know
who owns Tubi?
No, who?
Fox.
Interesting.
Fox does not have a streaming platform.
No, they don't.
It's intriguing that they've avoided, like, well, again, Fox was in sell mode long before this, right? Remember when Fox unloaded 20th Century Fox to Disney?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've been in cost cutting mode pre-pandemic or pre-pandemic. So I'm interested to see what they become in all of this, right? Because they're still the leader in sports television, but they've been very cautious.
They still own Tubi. Like that wasn't sold off with 20th Century Fox.
No, they have Tubi still.
You want to hear something interesting though? The cable companies, and I think this goes for Verizon too, but definitely for my outfit. If you use the voice thing and ask for a movie, and if it's on Tubi, they automatically play it from Tubi.
Well, I appreciate that. Tubi's free.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, like, the cable company is like piggybacking it off
Of course they are. Of course they are.
Yeah, well, because like they started offering that on the cable boxes, where you can now just go directly to some of the streaming services instead of logging off your box and opening up your Roku or whatever. Like, yeah, because they want to keep you on the box.
Fire 4K stick. So,
well, we have a Roku, and I haven't had traditional cable since 2014. Like we cut cable pretty early on, like not right when it started becoming big, but like, fairly early into the game. So I don't even remember what, like, I go to a hotel now and I'm like looking at cable TV, like, how archaic, this is stupid. Like,
I would have cut it if I weren't getting the heavy discount that I get. Like I get every almost every package for like $30 a month.
You get the Magnum. Yeah. See, that's reasonable. If cable was $30 a month, I wouldn't mind paying for it, but it's not. It's a lot more than $30 a month.
Right. I would have cut it too
I got rid of it almost a decade ago, and I don't think it's gotten cheaper since then.
No,
and that's the problem is they gouge the consumer to the point where the consumer's like, all right, screw you, I'll figure this out. And
right. And instead of saying, oh, we've got to stay competitive and lower our prices, no, they raise the prices because they're losing subscribers. Yeah.
Yep, because they got to make. Because again, it's not about appeasing the subscriber. It's about appeasing the shareholder, and it's about beating your projections. That's what matters.
Oh, I know. That's how all business works.
Mm-hmm.
So
we've beaten that.
Yeah, we've beaten this one like a shareholder.
I got this too. It's like, you know what? I'm to the point now where I used to be super anti-piracy. I'm to the point where I'm like, you know what? Screw them.
No, I mean. Again, I like supporting creators. I do not like the idea of stealing them, but
I do too.
But the problem is between us and between us and the creators are like Warner Brothers and all the music companies, and just like I said, one of the biggest problems with all of these streaming services is they're paying executives billions of dollars. Those are billions of dollars they could have put into the shows, and the price would go down, and they'd make more money. But
they don't want to do that.
It's all greed. So
they don't want to do that.
No, it's all greed.
Yeah, I mean, like, and again, there isn't the desire to just create good content. The desire is, how do we maximize? How do we make a lot of money? Right.
Right.
And that's what's unfortunate is that, again, I get it, but I don't care. Like, that is not my problem.
Yeah.
It's always amazed me how stupid they are, because in the effort to make more money, they wind up making less, because if they weren't that greedy, they would actually make more, but they'd rather like suck all the money out now instead of looking towards the future and building something up that would definitely make them more, within months or years. it's just the greed of the human race is just,
because it's not
blows
about
my mind.
It's not about making money now. I mean, it's about, excuse me.
Yeah.
It's about, I'm getting intended by an ad on a stupid platform.
Yeah. We're now inserting
Golly.
ads directly into the brains of the people who listen to our
Sorry, no,
podcast.
I had the internet open and like an ad just generated. And of course those things can't be just reasonable.
Yeah.
You know, they got to bombard you with the music of crappy royalty-free garbage music. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know. It's just stupid. The whole thing is stupid.
All right. Well, speaking of things that are possibly stupid, yeah, like I wasn't gonna bring this article up, but I saw a lot of people talking about this on social media. Apparently, Batman's bisexual.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
So,
why?
What is the name of the series that this is from? It's a mini series currently going on. It is, hold on a second, Batman the Knight, number 5. There's a panel where Bruce Wayne is talking to someone, and then there's one panel where it's like they're looking into each other's eyes. You know, the way it's drawn, it kind of looks seductive, and then they get interrupted, and then like nothing comes of that scene.
I always thought Batman was asexual. It's like it's the mission.
No, Batman, billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Like, who wants to go first? Because
I'm not. Go ahead.
Okay. So of course we support gay rights and all of that on this show. We're none of us are homophobic.
Yeah.
My issue is that it feels like someone took one panel from one issue of a comic and went, see, this proves Batman's bisexual. It's seeing something you want to see that's not really there. That's my opinion on this. And then it exploded on social media and then a couple different websites have now picked it up and are talking about it. And it's like,
here now again, being a middle-aged cisgender white guy, everything I say is going to have to be filtered through that lens.
Yeah.
And I admit it. When I first see it, I go, come on, like, because there's so many years of comics that stand in opposition to this. Right. It's again, now I've got, okay. I'll go. My first reaction was, this is silly. And then I saw some reactions where people were legitimately touched by this. There's people like, oh man, that really makes me feel connected to a character, which I think is a good thing. Is any time that readers can feel a level of connection, I know to the LGBTQ plus community, they do want to feel like they're connected. And oftentimes they do feel detached from, society, and having these touchstones is important to them. So, and then so I'm like, at first it's like, this is stupid. And then I went, maybe that's okay. And then I got cynical and went, okay, wait a second. This is literally one panel in one book.
Yes.
That will probably never get referenced again. Right. So I'm going to be totally cynical about this. And this to me feels like DC has done right by this with their pride agenda. I don't want to say agenda. That sounds like a negative term. Their pride movement for this month. Like, Tim Drake is come out as bisexual. Jonathan Kent is a bisexual character. I don't like that because I liked him better as a kid. And he could be, kids are kids, whatever is whatever. I just like the little kid Superman stories better. I don't like when they have to age teenagers and they take them out of kids stories. I just think that's a lost opportunity. So, but whatever, that's what the character is. It is what it is. To do this with Batman feels right now, and the way they did it feels like they can go, see, look, we did this, but they don't have to say it. Is they put this one panel and they go, and now again, it's open to interpretation. So DC can go, what do you think we meant? And it feels like cowardly, right? It's like you're going to put that up for artistic interpretation and let people do what they want with it. And if it never gets referenced again, some fan can go, Batman's bisexual because of this one panel. And the art go, but it's one panel versus 75 years of comics. So man, what did they really, if they made a statement, they didn't really make a statement, right? It's cowardly. It's cowardly. Either say he is or he isn't. Like, it's like Schrodinger's sexuality at this point. Like, you can't be like, what is it? If you're trying to make a statement, make the statement. If you're not going to make the statement, then don't.
Basically, in the world of shipping, this was the Titanic.
I mean, like, I don't know if it's that. I mean, like, it feels like to me, if people feel comforted by this and welcomed and warmed, that's a good thing.
So it's the Mary Celeste, is what you're saying.
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Like no, it feels
ship
to
that
me like,
vanished, the ghost ship.
No, you know what it is? It's like saying it's trying to have your cake and eat too, right? And you're not trying to offend anybody. So you put up a piece of art that can say whatever the reader, viewer observer wants it to say, and you don't have to make a statement on it. So if you think Batman's bisexual, you can think that. If you think Batman is straight, cisgendered, you can think that. So what statement did you really make? You know, like, you didn't say anything.
So,
you just threw it out there. Like, it's cowardly.
Yep.
And here's a question, right? So Carmine Domenico,
I don't know.
that's the artist on the book.
Oh, okay.
Did he just like draw the panel and like did he intentionally draw it to look that way, or did he draw it just thinking like it's two characters connecting, so they're looking in each other's eyes, like, not, this has nothing to do with sexuality, this is just two guys looking at each other, or did he purposely do it, right? And they were DC, the editors were just like, okay, we'll let that in and we'll see what happens. Like,
they drew it like that. It was purposeful.
Yes, but here's the thing. In our culture, in the United States, we have a tendency to say, oh, okay, that's two gay men looking at each other. But in other cultures, that it's completely harmless.
In most other cultures, they're more accepting of gay relationships and would see that too.
No, that's not true. But like, in other countries, there are countries where it's commonplace for men to hold hands, and it has nothing to do with sexuality. It's just men holding hands when they walk down the street together, right? Like, there's countries where it's common for men to kiss when they greet each other. Again, it's not a sexual thing. It's just how they greet each other. But in this country, like, we interpret everything, because we were founded by Puritans who, like, and now we're all repressed. We filter everything through sex.
That's a good point. Yeah. It's hard not, it's, again, a lot of it too is color theory and reading the color theory, like the highlights of red in the color. It's very easy to interpret. It's very easy to interpret it that way. Mm-hmm. Now, but that's it. I mean, like, and again, when any piece of art, I should say, can become a Rorschach test. What do you see in it? And I see a lot. And again, DC hasn't come out and said it. So, I mean, based on the fact that DC has not said it, I think you have to kind of say he isn't. Right.
And I also think, like, you're right. I think it's just, in my interpretation is he just drew it that way. He's an Italian artist, right? So he's from Italy, where again, it's not necessarily a sexual thing. It's just two characters connecting.
But we don't know that.
True.
I know we don't know that. Right. But the whole thing is like, but then I think DC sees this start building online, and they're just going to like let it play out. And if enough people are like, oh, we love this. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's what I said. That's if they're not making a statement at all. And it could be nothing. It could be something that literally did slip through everybody. I don't think so, because it's hard not to look at that singular panel and read something into it. Again, I haven't read the issue, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I have no idea. But I don't think this is, because let's look at this. Look at this. If DC wanted to make Batman bisexual, they would have that on. They would have a press release.
Yeah.
They would have
they would make big news about it.
They would have a marketing campaign based around it.
They would do it from a bunker too, because again, like you said, like,
they would embrace it. They would totally embrace it.
Yeah.
Like, they would do it. Like, again, this feels like and again, I've gone through a lot of thoughts thinking about this, trying to figure out what this is. I don't think the comics industry in this day and age, the corporate comics industry specifically, is this brave to be, to slip that in there and not to this, because this is Batman. Batman's not allowed to sit down, right? Like, there's all these edicts on what they can do with Batman. And I mean, like, and Warner DC specifically has done a lot to embrace this community. I feel like they would be a little bit more, I hate using the term out, because it's like I'm trying to say something more than I am, but I feel like they would embrace this more. I feel like this is something that got overblown. But maybe you're right. Maybe if there's a lot of hubbub about this, people, they can go, yeah, we did it on purpose. And that's fine if they do, but whatever. But they make a statement is all I'm saying.
With Robin and with
Superman,
like the new Superman, like, they came out and with a press release, like, and made a story of it. This time it's like they didn't say anything. So yeah, I don't think that was the actual intent, and it's getting blown out of proportion.
I do think it's getting blown out of proportion. But again, like, I don't think it's and this is what hurts, is like, if you do feel like you're ostracized and unaccepted, to have something like this teased and then to say, no, it isn't. I mean, that's not good either. So, I mean, like this is, like I said, this whole thing, again, art is art. You can read in what you read into it, and again, maybe I spent a long time talking about this when I really shouldn't have been, but I don't know. I feel like the cynical side of me says if this was actually something DC wanted to do, they would do it. They would just come out and do it.
Yeah.
Right. And if this wasn't something they wanted to do, I feel like they would just say something. So by saying nothing, it's like, well, we're just going to wait for this to go away.
Yeah.
You know,
that's exactly what they're doing.
And then people can point to this one panel in this one mini series that's going to get a fraction of the reads that Batman proper does, and will point to that. It's like, this is a thing. So now it becomes like an arguing point for fans. And I guess maybe that's the lens I do all this through, is I just hate seeing people fight about stupid shit online. And I see this is going to be an arguing point. And that's why I'm just like, oh God, you know, say it or don't say it.
I'm also going to say this miniseries is not something I've seen get a lot of buzz online about.
No, but they did now.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You know,
so
it's got to sell comics, man. Honestly, I think I might go back and read this just to see if they are trying to say something. But again, like, I don't know if they didn't want to come out and say Batman is bisexual. I think that would be silly based on 70 years of continuity, right? And I don't think that they would be afraid to do it if they wanted to do it, because they do it, because, you know, one of my buddies, Eric Drum, will sit there and tell you for years. He'll say Tim Drake is gay. He said it for years before they ever made the announcement. He would go back and tell you various points in various comics of how this has been. So he truly believes this has been in the character's DNA from the get-go. And I take his word for it. And there's other characters like a Kate Kane who come out right away like, she's lesbian. That's the character. So right. It's not like they're afraid to do these things, right? It's just this time, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, you know what, this totally was an accident, and they don't know what to do with it. So now they're just going to stay quiet.
Yeah, I think so. I was shocked, like, because I've seen people on social media on both sides of this, and I'm just looking at it through a narrow lens of like, I just see the one panel everyone's talking about, and it doesn't come off that way to me, you know, like.
No, I can read it. No, I mean, just looking at especially like the little bit of color theory that I know, I can see where that interpretation comes from, right? I get it. I mean, like, if you're there's this term of queer coding where you put in, like, and I learned that from Brian Fuller, the showrunner of Hannibal. Heard him on a podcast talk about it. So I mean, there's stuff that's there. I can see it. If you want to tell me that's there, okay, sure, I'll buy it. But the fact that the DC hasn't said it makes me think that it's probably just an artistic interpretation.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny too, because I did see someone on social media go, oh yeah, and DC did put out a press release, and I went to DC's website. There's nothing, and if there was, it would have been on all the websites. Yeah.
Oh my, like both sides, right? There have been like some channels would have been praising it, and like, you know, there's some channels with go nameless with people who used to wear bow ties would be all over this and saying why it's evil and it's another degradation step in the downfall of America, and like this would have been a huge talking, which is probably why Warner would avoid it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, exactly. So
yeah.
I don't think
honestly, much ado about nothing. Again, I've talked myself into 10 different circles on this, trying to figure this out.
And John was the smart one to stay quiet most of the time.
Yeah, this was stupid. I feel stupider having worked myself into this. And yeah, it's
the internet is such a wonderful place.
I was just reading about this new WB multiverse game.
Oh, it looks kind of cool. I like the trailer. I'm supposed to hate it. I'm supposed to say that's stupid. Shaggy has powers, but I actually thought it was kind of a cool commercial.
Well, the article I was reading, they did a playthrough and they said it's actually a competitor to Smash Brothers.
Oh, that's cool.
They said they did it right, which they were surprised too.
Man, like, Warner needs a hit, man.
So you're saying Shaggy never had powers?
Not Super Saiyan powers.
No, Shaggy's got memed. Because I think in there was, I don't even know where it was. It was one episode of one of the new series.
Yeah.
And Shaggy, a bunch of bikers in a bar. And I forget the context or why. But after that, he got memed to death. And now he's Ultra Instinct Shaggy for, using the Dragon Ball Z power up in Ultra Instinct. And it's just, so now he can go toe to toe with Superman, Steven Universe, Tasmanian Devil, and Tom and Jerry, apparently.
And Arya Stark, who's in the trailer.
Yeah. And the Iron Giant was there too.
He's Superman. It's awesome.
Yeah.
This could be a really, honestly, I don't play a lot of video games. This looks like it could be pretty fun. And that's how Warner can utilize all the properties they own successfully.
There you go.
Yeah.
They need a hit.
Yes, they do. And they need to find it quick, because
hopefully this is it. Hopefully.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to come back with something special.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, boys and girls. So, as you know, last month I went to the Great Philly Expo here in Philadelphia, and this is the last of the interviews that I got at the show, and I wanted to make sure I got it included before I forgot about it. And I apologize to our good friend Ben Goldsmith, who has been on this podcast many times. And of course, you know, he is a good friend and it's always fun to sit down and talk to him. I also have to apologize. The first like 2 minutes of the episode or the interview got messed up because he kept getting interrupted. He was actually working the Source Point press booth. So yeah, and he hints at something that has been officially released at this point. Seance Room 2. He did a miniseries a few years ago called Seance Room. He's coming out with a Seance Room 2, which he's kickstarted. So head over to Kickstarter and search Seance Room, and you'll find, or Ben Goldsmith, and you'll find this and support him because, you know, he's a friend of the show and we love his work. And without further ado, here is Ben Goldsmith.
Too loud? I had accidentally hit the button, so pause for a second. All right. So I'll start over again. So normally,
about 7.5 inches. Thank you for asking.
Normally, when you're at a con, you're behind a booth, you're asking, signing autographs, selling stuff, talking to fans. But in New York, you got to walk around. Like, when was the last time you had done that before that? And how was that experience?
Oh, man. The last time I probably did that before was before I had any comics published. It was when I was walking around just trying to meet people, you know? I mean, and talk about a difference of experience, like walking around trying to meet people, begging someone to validate anything you're doing versus like, you know, now it's like you get to walk around and you see friends and you're still making the connections and you're still begging, but it's a little less needy. And I overall though it was nice. You know, New York Comic Con is the con where you can just walk around because it's so massive. Like, it's even here. You know, we're Philadelphia, and you're able to do the lap pretty quickly. Especially, but that again, that's compared to when you go to New York,
I mean, New York is
San Diego or something, because then people they're coming in here and maybe they haven't been to a big show before, and it's like they're really overwhelmed. So you know, talk about just I'm going a little wide here, but talk about perspective. You know, everything is perspective,
right?
So you know, the perspective of walking around a show versus being behind a table, I don't feel the pressure to sell to justify the cost of everything, you know, and if we wanted to walk, we could walk and go somewhere, you know, me and my fiance would just go to dinner instead and not have to worry about meeting people afterwards. And, you know, because I did that all during the day because I wasn't worried. So it's, I mean, this is probably so boring for people. I'm sorry. but it's, I mean, it really is just the difference between, you're not terrified that you've made a financial mistake. Is I think one of the biggest things.
Yeah. And actually, okay, so speaking about conventions in general, right? This is the first con. Well, this is the first con in Philly in 2 years, and then this is the first con full capacity, no masks, no restrictions. Like, how does it feel? Do you feel like we're back, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel like we're back. You know, I think the whole point of everything was I'm not looking behind me, but I'm almost positive Stan Kanopka just stuck his finger in my ear. And I you know, the whole thing was, and this is, I mean, I'm not trying to spark outrageous things here, but you know, let's say for the sake of argument that the vaccines and everything took a year off my life at the end. Okay, let's just for the sake of argument, let's say that. Well, I get it back now, and that's what I want. So I got my vaccines. I did everything because I wanted this. This is what I wanted.
Exactly.
So to me, it's not a thing of like I'm easing back in. I'm like, no. I wanted this as soon as possible. I was first in line. I was like, fuck it. Yeah. I'm sorry. I forget if I can swear or not.
No, I don't care.
But that was my, again, I'm not trying to make this an issue for anything, you know, whatever. But I'm saying worst case scenario, which is how I look at things sometimes too. I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, this plane goes down. Well, I'll be scared for about 5 fucking minutes and then I'm done. Okay. So my fear of this plane is a little absurd. Let's get on the plane.
All right.
You know, so it's like, okay, worst case scenario, something happens to me, you know, it weirds out a certain thing. Well, I got to do now.
Right.
And I'm thrilled to be back without a mask, happy, vaccinated, talking with people in the world again, seeing faces, smiling, living, existing, and just hoping that people took care of themselves in a way that is meaningful. And we got our time to whatever we were able to do during the pandemic.
Right.
There were opportunities that we would have otherwise never had. Some scary, some we will never know the true consequences of until later.
Yeah.
But all I know is right now I'm sitting with you at a convention with a lot of very happy people.
Yes.
Right now.
Oh, it's definitely crowded in here. Like this is the most crowded convention I've seen in a long time. Even for everyone knows this used to be Wizard, then Fan Expo bought them out and do things a little differently. I think it's a lot better than it used to be. But even the last couple of Wizard Worlds were empty. Like there's a crowd here, and it feels good.
Yeah. I'm just it's just man, it was a long road to here, right? Isn't that funny? Like this moment right now is the thing that we were all waiting for. Like this is it, dude. We got here. This is kind of wild. It's kind of wild. It's like being at Disney World. You're thinking about it for years. You plan, you save the trip, the travel, and then you're staring at the castle, and you can't forget. Like you might be rushing around to get to Space Mountain, but don't forget, like you made it. You're there.
Right. Enjoy the moment.
Yeah, dude. Big one on that here for sure.
I also find it interesting. Like you come to a convention and you realize there's a lot of people. Obviously, the fans are mostly from this area, but there's people, artists and whatnot, from around the country, and some are wearing masks and some aren't wearing masks.
Yeah.
And it's like you realize they must come from an area that still have the restrictions on. So the country's slowly getting there. But it's like I said, like you said, the smiling faces, like just seeing people's faces again. It's such a gift, I think.
I know. I do feel for everyone who has beautiful eyes and poor dental hygiene because your time has come and passed. And you're that was your moment and no more is. But yeah, that's the other thing is when I see people wearing them, I don't. Again, I got all my vaccines, my boosters, right. And then there's a reason I did that.
Yeah.
And the people who do wear the mask are fucking great. Who cares? You know why? Because it doesn't affect me in the least.
Exactly.
Thank
you.
So it's like go to town, do or don't. Like some things are different because they genuinely do affect the overall population.
Right.
That is not one of them.
Yes.
Dude, that's a person. Go to town. Whatever your choice is, I don't care. It is interesting, right? Like there is the bit of this like. It does almost feel like it's not a thing anymore, right? Like we were all just like, it's done.
Yeah.
And we're good. It's done. Is what it feels like. And I'm not saying it's not that way. It's just how it feels. It's just, I guess I'm just spouting, sort of my soliloquy right now about like because I haven't really thought about what that means in cons. I was just, I was ready to get back and ready to, and get back in the zone and selling all that. So I have not thought about any of that. This is really the first time that I'm really even talking about it,
Yeah.
So it is. I guess it's just more than anything speaks to the human spirit, right? That we were like, we'll wait, and go. And then people were just game. They were back.
So, all right. So let's do a little plugging.
Okay.
You currently have Second Place out.
Yep. This is my first convention where I've had all 4 issues of Second Place all together.
So it's. You said 4. It's complete story is 4 issues.
Complete story.
So done. You're not going to do it anymore.
So Ed the artist and I have written up 3rd place.
Okay.
Which means that if that happens, so I would say that the chances are low of that happening.
Okay.
We have it written. It's potentially there. But the book didn't actually do that well. It kind of bombed a little bit, and I think a part of it was I wasn't on the trail.
Right.
And you're your own best hype man. I'm not a guy who can just put something online and all of a sudden Bleeding Cool is reporting on it, right? That's not me.
Exactly.
It's never been me. Maybe it will be. Not yet, right? So it didn't do so well. I think people didn't know quite what to make of it. It looks kind of childish. It's a mockumentary comic book about bodybuilding aliens.
Right.
It's a strange concept. It's a hard sell. But when you're talking to people and you're like, yeah, it's a mockumentary comic about bodybuilding aliens, but it's a sliding doors. It's about a family and making choices and what those choices mean and seeing the other life you could have had. And, that extremely human part of it, usually people go, oh, actually, there's that moment of, maybe I will try that. So I think it does. That book in particular does need just a little extra to get people interested. But in terms of previews, it didn't do so well. So I can't imagine third place really happening. If it does happen, I might kickstart it on my own, do my own thing. But I will say, if that does happen, it will make me tremendously happy to have a book named second place and a book named third place and no first place.
Exactly. So
hey guys, feel free to flip through and just open and take a look. Love your Iron shirt, by the way. Yeah.
Always selling. So that is one thing about you. Like, do you prefer like write a story, be done with the story, and move on, or would you like to work on a continuing like?
Oh, I'd love to work on a continuing story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that book that I did for Mad Cave RV9, I had so much more planned for that. It just some circumstances kind of made it that it wasn't going to happen, you know. And I have a personal project that if I ever got that going, it's, you know, minimum 64 chapters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I'm just not at that level. I'm not at that level. You know, I think a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, you're so unbelievably kind to me with all this stuff, but the truth is, like, you know, people are still taking chances on if they're trying a Ben Goldsmith book. They don't know.
Right.
So it is a lot more palatable to go, 4 issues, all right. And I know I can finish this, and I can. If I don't like it, it wasn't the worst thing I committed to, you know.
Right.
As I think about like the tattoo they got when they were 18. So, but at a certain point, I you know, it will be great. But I would love to do a full continuing series. Oh my God, yeah, dude, of course, yeah. Hi, please feel free to flip through. Just open them up, take a look. If you have any questions, what? Oh, I can help you with that. They're all on the back. Yep. You can pay more for them if you want to, but you don't have to.
So what's next for Ben Goldsmith?
Actually, I'm very excited for what's next. Alex Cormick, who did the art for Sea of Sorrows and Road of Bones for IDW,
right?
Sync for Comics Tribe, currently Crimson Cage for AWA. He and I have been building this book for a while called Ghosts on the Water, which is a Maori Pirates of the Caribbean. And it got picked up by Black Caravan. So which is a Scout imprint. It's the Joseph Schmalke, Rich Woodall imprint of Scout.
Yes.
So it's picked up. It'll be in stores, I think, early fall. Three parts, you know, short thing. And it is sensational. Alex sent me the art totally finished art for chapter 2, about a week back. And not only did I tell him that it's the best art that I've seen from him, which is a high bar considering his work.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best art that I've ever received as a creator. It is exceptional. It is truly...
Now, Road of Bones is really good.
Road of Bones is very good. Especially because... Well, I didn't write Road of Bones, so I can't say that because then it's like, you know, Dueck can eat my shit. Like, no, I like him as a writer and everything. As the art. You know, Road of Bones is a... The interesting thing about Road of Bones, for anyone who hasn't read it, is it mostly takes place in Siberia.
Yes.
And
it's all stark.
It's all very stark, and it's all very oneness in terms of, like, the palette. And Alex manages to make it not feel that way.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
We gave Alex a lot of stuff that he was able to do with this one. A lot of it's on the water. You know, a lot of ship and water scenes. But there is a part of it... There's a part of it where there's a page at the end of chapter 2 that is just, I mean, like, not only a miracle that he was able to do it, but also just one of the most fun things to look at. I mean, there is so much to see on that page from different times. It is cool. I will. Have you seen? Did I show you yet?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
When's any idea on when it's going to come out?
Yeah. So previews sometime in mid summer.
Okay.
And then previews. And then after that, like, we will be kickstarting another 4 issues of Seance Room.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yep. So we'll be going that with the Hack Slash crossover and the Ben Templesmith interiors on one of the issues.
Okay.
So Alex will actually be doing an issue of that as well. He's agreed to join on for that. You know, and then after that, I'm just working on other things, and we'll see which one of them's actually which one of them's. Wait, mobster from Brooklyn?
Yeah, yes.
Which one of them
Which
is
one of them's?
See which one of them is
Yeah, one of them's.
Which one of them will actually see the light of day? You know?
Right.
Because a lot of these, I'll do stuff like, you know, I'm working on a thing right now where it's silent movie era style, Flesher, Betty Boop style. No, not one word in the entire thing.
Really?
And it would be about, I think, something like 80 something pages. You know, it's written, it's done. You know, and I have an artist who's doing some.
Was
work
that like it feels like that'd be a challenge.
It was. Well, I mean, yeah, I for sure want more of that. Like, I'm too late to have invented Superman, right? Why try?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very Cuphead-esque.
Okay.
Betty Boop. Yeah, Betty Boop's the best bet, best comp to it. But, you know, we're working on that, but who knows if that'll ever actually see the light of day, dude. You know, it might just be a thing that I wrote and doesn't happen. That happens a lot.
It'll happen.
Sure. There you go.
It'll happen.
There you go.
That's you got to have the right attitude.
So, but I will say it will happen if all the people listening to this right now go right to Instagram, look up Mr. Ben AU, MrBenAU, and follow and keep up with what's going on over there at Instagram.
All right. Well, I'm not going to ask you what I always ask. I'm not going to ask you how you measure success because you've answered that about 20 times, I think.
Come up with a new question right now, top of your head. Something you've never asked a person on the spot. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be. It can be dumb. It can be, or you can ask me something really personal, like shock me.
What would be the perfect day to you?
Magic Kingdom, no lines.
All right.
Yep.
I like that.
Magic Kingdom, no lines. That would be the perfect day.
Mine would be at a comic book convention, talking with friends with a beautiful woman that I love.
So today.
Yeah, exactly.
Up top. Well, now you make me. Now I should have said today, like I'm in the moment. But I already, we had our in the moment talk earlier. You bastard! You one up my damn answer. Mine was selfish as shit. Like I just want to ride the Magic Haunted Mansion as many times as I want to without winning a light. And you were like, it's just the present and the people I love, and I've been blessed to have these. And I'm like, yeah, and maybe some churros. And, you fucker.
All right. Well, you already told people where to find you on Instagram.
Yep.
Don't forget to check out Second Place. Available in comic book shops, right?
It is the last one. Actually, it's funny. Actually, Miles Morales is reading Second Place right now. Hey, Miles Morales. I wrote that. Well, it's hard to with them. Yeah. He already knows. I've already talked to him. That is not shocking.
You talk to everyone.
Yeah. So that's why I have no voice anymore. It's done. That's the one thing I got to build back up my voice. I no shows for the last couple of years. I've been like at the end of the day, it's done. It's gone. No stamina for the voice. Anyway,
tea, lemon, and honey.
Yes, and instead I have coffee and cigars like a real idiot. So anyway, all right. I'm gonna go sign that book for Miles Morales.
I was about to say, let's bring this in for a landing. So, thank you, sir.
Always, absolute pleasure.
All right. That will do it for this week, gentlemen. So let's go around. And do we have recommendations or something that we learned this week? We'll start with John.
I learned nothing. I learned absolutely. Although, like I did get my fourth booster, so I did learn that I should never, ever assume that the day after a booster for anything that I will be lucid.
You got another booster?
I am of the age that I'm allowed to get a second booster.
I'm gonna go try to get a second booster and see what they say.
It's possible that in your neck of the woods, so many people are opting not to that they might have extra doses and want to get rid of them before they expire.
I got a lot of coaching this summer, so I'd rather not be in arena floors.
Yeah,
with all this stuff taking up.
But my recommendation is like I said before earlier in the show, I was on Netflix and I'm watching Comey Can't Communicate. I'm rewatching the first season because they now have a second season, and it is candy for the soul. With everything else that's going on, this is just an innocent little, anime that is just heartwarming. So, if you want to break from reality, this would be one way to get there.
All right, JD.
I learned that straight white guys should probably just be seen and not heard. Even when trying to
You just ruined our show.
That's
whole
our show. Right. That's true. Even while trying to wade through something, you think you have the right ideas with something, and you can talk yourself into, out of, and through to the point where you have 19 different ideas and none of them make sense. You probably should have shut your mouth to begin with. And
talking your way through it is one of the best ways to learn besides listening.
That's true.
And at least we're willing to hear other viewpoints.
Oh, I'm always willing to listen to somebody, So, you try to get better. I have a recommendation: Chippendales Rescue Rangers.
Okay, you said you teased this. I heard it was good.
I would deem it the unofficial sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Because I heard there was like a cameo in the background of South Park people, and like everybody you can think of is actually in this.
They got a surprising amount of licenses they got for this thing, and it's a mystery story, much like Roger Rabbit, but done today with surprising characters. We talked about Sonic and the poor special effects in the first trailer.
Oh, I heard
that is a plot point of the movie. And it's really enjoyable. And I read some guy on Twitter saying, "Man, they chickened out of every joke they could have had." And it's like, dude, it's for kids, right? Not everything aimed at kids needs to be biting satire to make 30-year-olds happy. Like, come on, man. Yep. Like, I was entertained. All I asked for is a little bit of entertainment while my kid's having a good time, right? It's fun, it's enjoyable, and if you like cartoons, there's a lot of good jokes. Is it going to be super witty? No, it's fun.
No, it's Chip and Dale.
It's Chip and Dale. Freaking dork.
I mean, I was surprised at how, as witty as it is. Like, I haven't seen it, but like just the trailers and everything and reading the reviews, it's like
watch it.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun, and it does make some statements on the current state of animation and film and piracy and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun.
And where did you see it?
Disney Plus. It's on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
I thought it was a theater release when I first saw the trailer.
Disney Plus original.
Oh, well, I know what I'm doing tomorrow when I'm supposed to be working.
Yeah, I want to hear what you guys think about it next week, because it was a lot of fun, actually.
Maybe a possible review.
I'm down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I learned that the internet is a weird and toxic place.
Yes.
You just learned
that now. Where have you been?
Then I learned that the 60s was a much different time. Well, I learned that before the podcast. So.
Oh, I almost forgot. Guys, you know what comes out Friday?
What?
Kenobi.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Are you going to actually watch this one?
Yeah, it's Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Star Wars, Marvel.
I also learned.
Really?
I don't know why, but I'm just not really that excited for this.
Really? Okay.
I mean, I'll watch it, but it better be good.
I just learned that John is another toxic cis white male.
Come on.
Don't harsh our Star Wars recommendations. I don't, you know what I'm going to recommend? I'm going to recommend, if you haven't yet, and everyone out there, I'm sure, has some kind of streaming device, download the Tubi channel and check it out. There's a lot of content on there that is absolutely, sure, they inject ads, but I'll say this.
Who cares? You grew up with cable TV, ads.
Not only that, like, some of them like inject a bunch of ads. They only injected like 2, maybe 3 ads in the middle of the episodes, and that was it. So it was great. Like, it was tolerable. It didn't like, I hate when you're watching a half-hour show and it takes 45 minutes because of all the ads they inject.
Oh yeah, we watched American Tail on Tubi, and they had like 2 commercials.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah. So I highly recommend that. Yeah.
And I will say one more thing. I will lead off with this. I'll end with this. The more time goes, the more I'm starting to come around to John's take on the last 3 Star Wars movies.
Well, wonders never cease.
I'll just leave it at that, and we'll table that discussion for a later day.
I think that's going to be. We'll probably have to talk about that next week, when we definitely will be talking about Kenobi and possibly and the Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger movie.
It's going to be a slow news. It's going to be a slow news week. We can do both,
unless DC turns around and shocks us and confirms it. But I doubt that's going to happen. So.
They don't have the guts.
On that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening. Don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.